Good morning, class. Mr. LeBlanc here. I hope everybody's enjoying the long weekend. Today we're just going to touch on the beginning of World War II. Uh, the beginning of World War II starts right around September of 1939. The United States, on the other hand, does not enter until December of 41. We officially begin sending troops beginning in January of 42. Oh, I'm sorry. Allergies. Uh, but what I want to touch on first is like the rise of the what I call the Three Stooges. You should have read about them before. I think each of the individual characters or stooges plays a very influential and important role in World War II, in the beginning of World War II. So we'll start with Benito Mussolini. Mussolini is going to become a dictator in Italy. He's going to take over by force and basically kill off the royal family, name himself dictator, and before World War II is over, he's going to be personally responsible for killing massive amounts of his own people. And we'll touch more on that in a little while. Um, the next person we're going to talk about is Joseph Stalin. Stalin is a communist. He ends up with the support of most people in Russia, takes over, becomes the communist leader, and declares communist as the national government style. This is the first time in the world that there's a major country that's practicing communism. This scared a lot of people. This is going to lead to the Cold War, which we'll talk about after World War II. And Stalin believes in communal property. Everyone is part owner of everything, and everything that is done is to benefit the government and the government state. Stalin and Hitler hate each other. They hate. Hitler hates communism. Stalin hates fascism. He hates the Nazi Party. However, the first thing that happens in before World War II is they're going to sign a pact not to fight each other. It's ridiculous. They hate each other, but then they say they're not going to fight each other, and I'm going to explain that in a few minutes too. The third person obviously gets a lot of the fame. Obviously, not fame, but infamity, infamous. He gets a lot. He's infamous for World War II. Is obviously Adolf Hitler. A lot of people think Hitler is crazy. Like, as you're a student, you're like, how would anyone want this guy running their country? And what I need people to understand, and my personal opinion, Mr. LeBlanc's opinion, is that World War II started the day that World War I ended. And I'm going to tell you why. It's very simple. World War I ended with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. We meaning basically the entire world, blamed Germany for starting the war. We said Germany had to pay massive amounts of war reparations, $500 billion. A country's not going to be able to pay for that. Like, they just lost a war, they're already in debt, and now we say that they have to pay $500 billion in war reparations. They have to get rid of their army. They have to demilitarize. I think they're allowed to have 3 tanks. That's it for the entire country's military. And basically, this forces them, and they also lost half of their land. Half of their land becomes countries like Poland, part of Czechoslovakia, Belgium. Those are all originally German land, but as a result of the Treaty of Versailles, they had to shrink down, and this puts Germany in a very, very, very horrible depression. Now, we're talking about the United States having a Great Depression in 1939 to 1945. This was much, much worse. People were dying on the street. It was very, very, very bad. And at a time when a country is in such agonizing and horrible pain, they need something or someone to hold on to. And Hitler rose up and started giving speeches in street corners, in bars. He started giving something that people could believe in. He was that person. He blamed European nations. He blamed Jews. He preached on nationalism and how Germany is going to be great again, and we're just going to get through these hard times together. And he preached, and he blamed other people and groups for Germany's problems. Hitler was a very, very powerful public speaker. When he gave his speeches, he was often yelling, screaming. If you Google videos of him, he's like spitting while he gives these passionate speeches. But again, it's hard for us to understand, but at a time where there was nothing positive in Germany, this one person was able to get the support of everyone because he was promising all of these things. He was preaching on nationalism and the belief that Germany is going to be great again. And before you knew it, this fascist government, known as the Nazi Party, eventually takes over. In fact, Hitler is given power as a result of this. There's a whole part where he goes to jail and writes a book, Mein Kampf, which is his struggle. And if we were in the classroom, I would hold the book up and I would discuss like how that influenced things. I do not have the book in my house. It's not like something that I read. So we'll skip that for now. So you have Stalin, Mussolini, and Hitler. Those are the Three Stooges. Now, the other important part that I want to talk about is Hitler and Stalin hated each other. We mentioned that already. But what he does is actually very, very smart. He signs a non-aggression pact with Russia. He says, listen, if you go to war, if Russia goes to war, we will not we'll remain neutral. If Germany goes to war, we want Russia to remain neutral. And this is very, very smart on Hitler's behalf because he knows that he can beat every other European country, but I think in the back of his mind, he's actually afraid of Russia. Russia is a very, very large landmass. He can't cover and attempt to take over all of that landmass. Russia has a very, very solid army. So he signs a non-aggression pact, knowing that if Germany starts a war with someone else, he doesn't want Russia to get involved. He wants them to remain neutral because then Germany can just take over the world in Hitler's mind. They signed this aggression pact in August of 1939, and in September 1939, the event that officially starts World War II is Adolf Hitler and the Nazis invade what is called the Rhinelands, and that's an area of Poland. That officially kicks off World War II. He eventually just keeps going. He takes over Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and attempts to take over Great Britain. And again, we're going to talk more about this. 1939, World War II officially starts with Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party invading the Rhinelands, which is an area of Poland. Again, thinking back to when World War II started as a result of World War I, remember, Poland was part of Germany. Hitler wants to take that back. He wants to get that land back. And then eventually he comes up with this idea that he just wants to control all of Europe all the way over to Japan, to the island of Japan, to China. He wants to take over, basically begin colonizing all of the Eastern Hemisphere. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. He's going to form an alliance that's going to be known as the Axis power. It's going to have 3 countries: Italy, Japan, Germany. We'll wrap it up there. Obviously, World War II, very dense topic, a lot I can go over with you. That's the beginning. You do need to understand the background before you can understand the war and the battles. So if you have questions, let me know. Other than that, when you're done with my work, get outside, enjoy this nice weather. I'll talk to everybody next time.